Throughout history, there have been countless examples of authoritarian leaders who have risen to power through force and intimidation, and who have inflicted immense suffering upon their own people and others around the world. These individuals, known as dictators, have often used violence and propaganda to control their citizens and maintain their grip on power. In this video, we will be discussing the 10 worst world dictators of all time. These are leaders who have committed unspeakable crimes against humanity, from genocide and ethnic cleansing to mass murder and torture. While some of these dictators have already been deposed or have passed away, their legacies continue to haunt the nations and peoples they once oppressed. Number 10. General Francisco Franco was a Spanish military leader and dictator who ruled Spain from 1939 until his death in 1975. Franco came to power following a bloody civil war that lasted from 1936 to 1939, during which he led a military rebellion against the democratically elected government. Once in power, Franco established a highly authoritarian regime that repressed political opposition, banned labor unions, and censored the press. He also suppressed regional autonomy, particularly in Catalonia and the Basque Country, and imposed a strict conservative social and cultural agenda. Franco's regime was supported by the Catholic Church and benefited from aid from Nazi Germany and Fascist Italy during World War II. Franco died in 1975, and Spain transitioned to democracy soon after his death. Number 9. Benito Mussolini was an Italian fascist dictator who ruled the country from 1922 until his downfall in 1943. He founded and led the National Fascist Party and established a one-party dictatorship in Italy, suppressing political opposition, limiting freedom of the press, and creating a cult of personality around himself. Mussolini also pursued an expansionist foreign policy, invading and annexing Ethiopia in 1935 and allying with Nazi Germany during World War II. Under his rule, Italian Jews were subjected to persecution, discriminatory laws, and eventually deportation to concentration camps. Mussolini's regime collapsed in 1943 following Allied invasion of Italy, and he was captured and executed by Italian partisans in 1945. Number 8. Idi Amin was a Ugandan dictator who ruled the country from 1971 to 1979. He came to power through a military coup and quickly established a brutal regime characterized by widespread human rights abuses, corruption, and ethnic persecution. During his rule, Amin was responsible for the deaths of hundreds of thousands of people, many of whom were targeted because of their ethnicity, political beliefs, or perceived opposition to his regime. Amin also expelled tens of thousands of Asians and other foreigners from Uganda, seizing their businesses and property in the process. His reign of terror came to an end in 1979, when he was overthrown by a coalition of Tanzanian and Ugandan forces. Number 7. Nicolae Ceausescu was a Romanian politician who served as the General Secretary of the Romanian Communist Party from 1965 until his overthrow in 1989. He was known for his dictatorial rule, which included widespread censorship, human rights abuses, and a cult of personality that emphasized his supposed infallibility. During his reign, the Romanian people suffered from food shortages, lack of basic necessities, and economic hardship while Ceausescu and his family lived a life of luxury. He was eventually overthrown and executed during the Romanian Revolution of 1989, which brought an end to his oppressive regime. Number 6. Bashar al-Assad, the Syrian president who has been accused of numerous human rights violations, including the use of chemical weapons against his own people. Bashar al-Assad took over as president of Syria in 2000 following the death of his father. Since then, he has been accused of numerous human rights violations, including the use of chemical weapons against his own people during the ongoing civil war in Syria. His regime has been responsible for the deaths of hundreds of thousands of people. Number 5. Saddam Hussein, the Iraqi leader who carried out numerous human rights violations and was responsible for the deaths of thousands of people, including the use of chemical weapons. Saddam Hussein ruled Iraq for nearly 3 decades, from 1979 until his overthrow in 2003. During his time in power, he carried out numerous human rights violations, including the use of chemical weapons against his own people. He was also responsible for the deaths of thousands of political opponents and dissidents. Number 4. Pol Pot, the Cambodian leader who orchestrated the Khmer Rouge regime, responsible for the deaths of up to 2 million people. Pol Pot's reign of terror in Cambodia began in 1975 when he and his followers seized power. Over the next 4 years, they implemented a radical communist program aimed at creating an agrarian utopia. However, their policies resulted in the deaths of up to 2 million people due to starvation, overwork, and execution. Number 3. Mao Zedong, the founder of the People's Republic of China, who led the country through a series of violent campaigns that resulted in the deaths of tens of millions of people. Mao's rule of China began in 1949 and lasted until his death in 1976. During his time in power, Mao launched numerous campaigns aimed at purging counter-revolutionary elements from society, resulting in the deaths of millions of people. His policies also led to widespread famine and economic turmoil. Number 2. Joseph Stalin, the Soviet Union leader responsible for the deaths of millions of people due to his brutal policies, including the forced famine in Ukraine. Stalin ruled the Soviet Union for nearly 3 decades, from 1924 until his death in 1953. He was known for his extreme paranoia and ruthlessness, which resulted in the execution of countless political opponents and the imprisonment of millions of citizens in gulags. Stalin's policies also led to widespread famine in Ukraine, resulting in the deaths of millions of people. Number 1. Adolf Hitler, the leader of Nazi Germany who orchestrated the Holocaust and World War II, resulting in the deaths of millions of people. Hitler's reign of terror began in 1933 when he was appointed Chancellor of Germany. Over the next 12 years, he transformed Germany into a totalitarian state and initiated policies aimed at purging undesirables from society, including Jews, homosexuals, and disabled individuals. Hitler's genocidal policies led to the deaths of an estimated 6 million Jews and millions of others. The actions of these brutal leaders, we can gain a deeper understanding of the dangers of authoritarianism and the importance of safeguarding democracy and human rights.